Doesn't everything in life happen for a reason? If so, then why should I resist what life is offering to me? How am I supposed to know when something is too good to be true, different from something that actually is true? If I'm free to do whatever I want, why should I resist temptation? How could resisting temptation truly help me on my journey? By the end of this video, you're going to fully understand the purpose of resisting temptation and how it can help you on your journey to becoming the best you. So, grab yourself a cup of tea, stay tuned, and let's talk about it. Hello, Howell family. I'm your host, HC. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Tea with HC, where we talk about the issues that concern you on your journey to being true to you. In this episode, we're discussing the purpose of resisting temptation. At every corner, there seems to be an influence, encouraging us to succumb to its volition. This breeds uncertainty, and because of this, it can be very alluring to venture towards illusions which present themselves as an easy access to a desired outcome. Unfortunately, though, these endeavors can lead to our continued suffering, and in many cases, even our demise. Temptation can be understood as the desire for an end without the hassle of the means required to get there. Temptation often presents itself as a solicitation towards what appears to be great, but lacks substance, and hence can derail us from our cause. Despite the instant gratification that temptation may offer, it often comes along with undesired repercussions. For example, let's say a best friend that is better off than you are decides to help you with your struggles by allowing you to wear and use whatever they possessed, except for their favorite red shirt. Your friend granted you access to their entire wardrobe and told you that you could use any piece of clothing that you wanted, but just not that red shirt because of the sentimental value that it represented to them, and you swore a vow that you would never wear it. Yet, your friend never paid attention to the clothes because you always took care of them and put them right back where you found them when you were done with them. So, one day, you had the perfect outfit to go out on a date, and your friend was out of town, and the red shirt would have been the perfect addition to your outfit. So you give in to temptation and wear the shirt on the date against your friend's wishes. In this example, a few things can be learned. First, you will likely lose your friend's respect because they now know that if you are left alone to your own devices, you cannot be trusted. You will also likely lose access to the entire closet and the help offered by your friend. Further, because the red shirt had sentimental value, which is probably of a much deeper nature than you understand, it will likely create a rupture in the friendship overall. Giving in to temptation in that instance may not only cause you to lose a friend, but it also shows you the fabric of your own character. All it took was a date with a stranger for you to abandon the bond that has been long created with someone that you know. So, although in the moment it may have seemed like the best option to wear the red shirt, giving into temptation often has a ripple effect filled with undesired ramifications. Although this is a minor example of giving into temptation, it can be applied to understand the effects of doing so in other areas of life. And although you may feel like no one would find out, you must always remember that you will always play how you practice. As said by John Wooden, the true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching. I'll show you how resisting temptation encourages a better version of you by stimulating mental strength, inspiring healthier relationships, and by encouraging self awareness. Hopefully, that I could enjoy some of this warm tea. First, resisting temptation reinforces mental strength. Always remember, if you don't discipline yourself, you can't expect to reap the benefits earned from discipline. Your success or lack of success thereof will be a testament of your character and your ability to apply yourself to a cause. For example, let's say you love your local restaurant's mega burgers, but you want to get in shape to compete as a runner for a competition coming up at the end of the week. You know that eating a mega burger gets you too tired to exercise, and thus it would take time away from your training for the competition. However, walking home one day during the week, you realize that the local restaurant is giving out free burgers to whoever wants to dine in. Although eating your favorite burgers tastes even better when it's free, giving in to temptation would be making the choice to abandon your chances at performing your best at the race for a distraction of the moment. Resisting temptation helps with mental strength because it is the conscious effort to delay gratification and accepting that you will be the victor long term by trusting the process already established. By refusing to eat those burgers, you are making the choice to be a winner, and you are subconsciously reassuring that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to, despite the most enticing distractions. On the other hand, giving in to temptation does the exact opposite. In the case of the example, not only would you have interrupted your training, it is likely that you would have also lost the confidence to compete at the level that you knew that you could have had you not eaten the burger, which could lead to you abandoning the race altogether, or simply not competing at your best and suffering the consequences, which would be shown in the results of the race. Resisting temptation can thus be seen as exercising your brain so that your mind can be in the best shape for any challenge ahead on your journey to being true to you. Second, resisting temptation creates opportunities for stable relationships. Imagine being best friends with someone that never resists temptation. If that is the case, every secret that you have shared, every moment that you have spent, and every emotion that you have felt with this person would be put in question with the right enticement. Not only would that drastically affect your friendship, but it would also drastically distort your perception of self. Because if who you consider a best friend cannot be trusted, what do you really know about having a best friend? Being someone who knows how to resist temptation would allow you to be a person worthy of trust, as well as help you recognize those that should not be trusted. Resisting temptation helps with relationships because a person that resists temptation understands the value of compound growth in relationships. It knows, for example, that any relationship does not start out perfect. It becomes perfect as it grows. For example, let's say you've become very fond of someone and you two have decided to enter a relationship. However, because the relationship is new, you never understood your partner's love for macaroons. And because of this lack of awareness, because of how new the relationship is, you passed a derogatory comment about the treat. It's not that you didn't necessarily like macaroons, you've just never heard of them, and therefore have no idea if you really like them. A person that does not resist temptation is a person that is likely to dishonor the bonds of your relationship at the proposition of someone that shares their adoration for the commonality, in this case, the macaroons. They are likely to be swayed in the belief that, based on this commonality, that other person must be a better match for them. In contrast, a person that knows how to resist temptation would understand that any and every relationship begins with many differences, and therefore would put their effort towards solidifying the relationship, as opposed to giving into persuasions of the moment. Although other options may be available, easily giving in to temptation can only lead to a spiral of broken bonds. Knowing how to resist temptation thus creates the opportunity for a strong foundation in a relationship because it is a factor that encourages solid characteristics such as trust, good morals, value, and principle. Finally, resisting temptation encourages self awareness. Knowing how to resist temptation is also knowing to recognize temptation and how to react accordingly. This skill is paramount when it comes to self awareness because it is the understanding of what triggers you versus what makes you feel indifferent. Being aware of how you are going to react to temptation will help you prevent unfavorable results. With the help of this awareness, you could then create a mental protocol of what to do when you are presented with tempting circumstances in the future. For example, let's say you have a friend that always encourages you to do mischievous things, but you made the choice to stay out of trouble going forward. However, you know that you are easily swayed by their words, and therefore, hanging out with them alone is likely to get you in the very trouble that you are trying to avoid. This self awareness will encourage preventative measures such as learning how to say no and or making sure that you are never alone with that person if you ever choose to hang out. Resisting temptation encourages this self awareness and fortifies the belief that you have in yourself because you know that you can trust yourself to execute the plan regardless of any distractions that may present themselves. In contrast, giving in to temptation helps to create doubt in your abilities, as it is the stuttering of your growth every time you are presented with something that appears to be interesting on your path. Succumbing to temptation is ignoring your truth and sidestepping your gut feeling in hopes that by doing so, something great may come of it, which is often far from the truth. Always remember, your life is taking place right now. Every decision matters. Every decision is moving closer or further from where you want to be. As asked by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus to his students, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? To put it all together, we can now assess that resisting temptation can play a significant role in your life by stimulating mental strength, inspiring healthier relationships, and by encouraging self-awareness. We can now clearly denote that not only does resisting temptation serve a purpose, but it is also a necessary element to having a fulfilled and successful life. What do you think about resisting temptation? I would love to read your comments as I finish this cup of tea, so please comment below. Like this channel and consider subscribing if you haven't already. That's it for today's episode of Tea with HC. Hope it helped you appreciate the significance of resisting temptation. I'll see you here next time on Howell Consultations, the how-to being true to you.